Hello and welcome back to The Interval, a musical theatre podcast. This week it's time to get your high heels out
Ooh.
because we're talking about Kinky Boots. Yeah. We're very excited, and if you listened to not last week's episode, because
Sorry about that one.
we can't keep a proper schedule yet, you'll have heard about this because this is one of our anticipated shows for 2026 because it is coming back, but we're going to get into that later. First, Jess is going to tell you what Kinky Boots is and give you a bit of history about it.
Kinky Boots is a film, documentary, and musical. Obviously, for the most part, we'll be talking about the musical, but I just wanted to touch on the film and the documentary a little bit because I find it fascinating. So, it's basically the story of a shoe company that ends up producing a line of high heeled boots for drag queens and men in order to save their company. It's a kind of a story of love and acceptance and not judging people based on how they act, look, or seem. And it's really heartwarming. And yeah, the film was it's a 2005 comedy, directed by a guy called Julian Gerald. When the film came out in 2005, it developed a massive cult following and therefore inspired a musical which came out in 2013. But interestingly enough, the film itself is based off of a BBC Two documentary called Trouble at the Top, which was broadcast in 1999. It's a true story about a guy called Steve Pateman who was struggling with the possible closure of his family controlled shoe factory in Northamptonshire, which is where the film is set, and ended up catering to the market of men wearing traditionally women's shoes under the brand Divine. It's a true story, which is what makes this so fascinating, and yeah, inspired the 2005 film that came out, which was, as I've said, a massive, massive success. This film was also a musical. The critics were kind of on the fence, but there was many fans of the film, and I would highly recommend you go and watch it if you so choose. It's very, very good. But we will be talking about the musical. Tyler, do you want to give a little bit of context on the musical?
So, Kinky Boots, as Jess just described in her lovely history lesson that we all listened to,
Sod.
Kinky Boots is based off of a film, which itself is based off a true story. Please tell me that's correct.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have already explained that bit, but you weren't listening, so that's okay.
Well, you told me to give more context.
Listen to your history teachers, folks. It's important.
So after a successful run on Broadway when it opened in 2013, Kinky Boots made its way over to the West End in 2015. I've lost a bit of context.
That's
I was reading.
That's
I'm
all
sorry.
the interesting stuff.
Yeah. No. One of my favorite things about Kinky Boots as a musical is its music and lyrics were written by Cyndi Lauper,
The icon.
who is an absolute icon, and the music in this show is lovely. But to give you a little bit more context about the actual story, right, the musical adaptation about Kinky Boots is slightly changed within its core characters and things, but the overall concept is relatively the same as the film and the real life circumstances that occurred to inspire everything that came after. So the musical is all about a man called Charlie Price who lives in the factory town of Northampton, which is a real place.
It is a real place, I assure you.
Do you know, when I was listening to Kinky Boots earlier, I remembered that Alan Carr is also from Northampton.
Alan Carr is Charlie. He should play Charlie. That would be hilarious.
He should.
I'd love that. I bet he'd be quite good at it, actually.
But there's also a whole sketch in one of his old comedy shows about how every school trip they used to go to like a boot museum. So my headcanon is that they went to the Kinky Boots factory.
Incredible.
Yeah, so the story follows our protagonist, Charlie, who he's lived in Northampton all his life. Generations of his family have lived there. They've run a shoe manufacturing factory in Northampton, which is like it's like the dynasty in his family. So his dad is the owner of the factory at the time the story begins, and it's like Charlie's legacy is to be given the factory one day, and we find out in the opening number that everyone in the town, including Charlie's father, are very passionate about shoes, and Charlie doesn't understand. um, at the beginning of the story, he's planning to go to London, which everyone reacts to in horror in the
Hmm.
same way they do in like Coronation Street when they say I'm going to London, and they react like they've just said like, oh, I'm going to hell. It's so funny. Um, yeah, at the beginning of the story, he and his girlfriend Nicola are in the middle of planning to move away to London because they've been offered positions in a marketing firm, and like his dad's willing to let him go, but he's clearly quite reluctant to because he wants Charlie to stay and run the factory. And I'm assuming I can just spoil.
I mean, it
Uh,
happens near the beginning. I think it's
yeah,
fine. And I would very much urge people to watch this film before finishing this because we're going to be spoiling it throughout. And it's also fantastic.
yeah. Watch the film, listen to the Broadway and West End cast recordings, and there's also a pro shot of
There
the West
is.
End as well. They're all very, very good. Yeah, so Charlie sort of just about moved to London, and he finds out that his father has very suddenly passed away, so he has to go back to Northampton for the funeral service, and he discovers that the factory, his dad basically left the factory in bankruptcy, and he never sort of told Charlie or anyone. So Charlie basically drops his plans and decides to stay in Northampton and try and restore the factory and obviously keep everyone in the community's jobs because it's a big pillar of the community.
Hmm.
Um, it's quite sweet because
It's so sweet.
he's got no passion for the work at all, but he's completely spurred by the desire to keep his father's memory alive and
Mm.
everything that his family built.
Yeah.
And things take a turn for Charlie, a positive turn for Charlie when he meets Lola, who is a drag queen in London. Charlie meets Lola when they are unfortunately being assaulted and like accosted by some drunk people outside of a pub. Charlie intervenes, gets knocked unconscious, and Lola takes him to the nightclub where they work at as the drag queen headliner. And Charlie is obviously very grateful that he was rescued from being knocked unconscious. Um, so Charlie then goes back to Northampton, and his friend Lauren, who she works there, but she's like they're like childhood friends, and she realizes like she's in love with Charlie like halfway through the show.
Oh, I love that song.
It's really cute. It's such a good song. It's a really
Yeah.
funny song as
We'll
well.
talk about that later.
Yeah. She basically tells Charlie that other factories, the only way they survive is by like they have to change what they're doing and try and tap into a niche market, which is a very business savvy idea.
Hmm.
This inspires Charlie from his meeting of Lola because of the type of shoes that Lola wears and the fashion in general. And he reaches out to Lola with his idea and says, "Can you come to Northampton and help me design a woman's boot that can be comfortable and also accommodate a man, like a man's build?" And Lola says yes. And Lola and her angels, which are the other drag queens in
Hmm.
Lola's like troupe, it's really cute. They will go to Northampton looking lovely and fabulous, and they help they help design the Kinky Boots and help turn the factory around, and it's just really sweet.
It is
It's
so sweet.
it's such a lovely story. There's there's a lot of emotional ups and downs, particularly to the reaction of the workers to
Mhm.
Lola, because it's very small town conservative vibes. And yeah, as they continue to work together, Charlie and Lola develop a really lovely friendship that's mostly built on they can really relate to each other in terms of parental expectations and the pressure that can come with that, and the experiences that they separately have with their fathers.
Oh,
And
also a fantastic song.
yeah, well, there's like three songs literally about
Mhm.
that one topic, and they're the best songs in the show. But
Yeah.
yeah, overall, it's a really lovely show. It's a show about friendship and love and just being who you are and changing people's minds. It's lovely. I love it. I think it's quite underrated.
Do you? I think it's like as a good quality musical, people don't really think of Kinky Boots, but when you actually go and watch it, you're just wowed. It's so good. And like the clips and stuff and the pro shots that I've seen are just incredible.
Yeah, it's just so fun. It's got everything. It's one of the shows that has everything. It makes you laugh.
Mhm.
It makes you cry. It fills you with a lot of joy.
It's so feel good. As like cuz there's so many songs in here that are feel good.
It is, and I really like I like how grounded it is as a story,
Mm.
because with a lot of musicals they can be quite fantastical if they are more grounded.
Yeah.
There's often concepts going on that can be sort of otherworldly
Yeah, I
and
mean, don't get me
things.
wrong. There's still like a part where they go to Milan for the fashion show that is quite spectacular, but it is just fantastic.
Yeah, but it's still done in a believable way. Like they've managed to convince this buyer,
Mm,
and that's like why they've got the invitation to go to the fashion show.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that it's this story very much like Harold Fry, in my opinion. It's just grounded in reality, and it stays in reality, and it's nice to see that reflected sometimes when you go to the theatre.
Oh, 100%. And I think this one does it really, really well. And it's also, obviously, it's such an important topic of acceptance that it hits home for everyone because everyone's had that time where they've not felt accepted. So it just, I don't know, it resonates with everyone, I think. Or at least
Yeah.
most people. I guess I can't speak for everyone.
Do we before we talk about specific songs? Do we want to talk about like our favorite moments of the show?
Yeah, yeah. I do have a moment actually. I haven't seen this show in a while, but there is a moment in the show where I think Lola and Don get into a boxing match for some reason.
Yeah.
I think Don is like mocking Lola and then
They make a wager.
mm,
Like Lola says, if because part of Lola's backstory is Lola's father was a professional boxer, and from a really young age he trained his son to be a boxer, and that's where like all the pressure and the strain in their relationship came from, because Lola like didn't want to grow up to do that,
mm.
but he's still been trained by a professional boxer, so he's a really good fighter.
Yeah, Lola basically says, I challenge you to this wager and we can do whatever you want. And Don, obviously being a bit more of a stereotypical manly man who doesn't really accept anything, challenges Lola to a boxing match. And the way that they do that, the actual match, is so fantastic. There's a lot of like slow punches and jokes and I just remember watching that and thinking it was really clever and very impactful. And obviously, Lola eventually wins. And the part of the challenge is to just accept someone for who they are. Is all the thing they ask him to do. And it's
Yeah,
just such a nice moment, and it's quite a funny, powerful moment as well, because obviously Lola wins and Don gets what's coming to him. But he gets a really lovely arc as well. He ends up accepting people and really learning more about himself, which is beautiful.
Yeah, one of my to off the back of that, because mine also involves those two characters. Really,
Mm.
one of my favorite parts of the show is so Lola is obviously ridiculed quite a lot when they initially arrive at the factory because Don and the other workers they just haven't encountered anyone like Lola before and they don't understand it and they don't want to accept it, which is a big part of the show's overall message and their arcs in the show. And after being quite ridiculed and being you know Lola gets a lot of like crass things said to them
Mm.
by the workers, and they kind of give in, like relent on one of the days, and they turn up in men's clothing, like standard men's clothing, not in drag, and that doesn't help because Don and the other workers are still just really mean. Um, so Lola goes and hides in the factory bathroom, and Charlie goes in. And I'm pretty sure there's like there's like humor in this moment where Charlie's not sure which bathroom Lola's gone into, so he's like trying to figure out like where they've gone, and he doesn't know which one to go in, which is quite funny. Um, and then Charlie goes to comfort Lola, and that's where we get Lola's backstory about, you know, my father was a boxer, he trained me, and then he disowned me because I showed up for a match in drag,
Yeah.
which is such a power move.
Mhm.
And then they sing "Not My Father's Son,"
Ugh.
which is one of the best songs in the show. It's one of my favorite like emotional musical theatre songs ever. And at the end of the show, Lola introduces himself to Charlie as Simon, which
Yeah.
is his birth name, and
Simon
it's
from
such a
Clapton. Oh.
yeah.
Mm.
It makes me emotional talking about it. But that's one of my favorite moments in the whole show.
It's
And
yeah.
and actually, off the back of that, another one of my favorites is there's a little motif that starts in this song where Lola says, "We're the same, Charlie boy, you and me," and then at the end of the show, in the final number, he says the same thing to Charlie, and the two young actors that play young Charlie and young Lola in the opening number, they both crossed onto the stage and they hugged their dads.
Oh, it's so
And
nice.
it's such a beautiful moment.
It is. It is. My next one, and like, because there's only a few that I can think of right now, is kind of more of the staging and the use of staging because they treat obviously because it's a shoe factory. There's a lot of conveyor belts.
It's very industrial.
Yeah, and the way that they use the conveyor belts as kind of I'm
Yeah.
counting it as a stage revolve because it kind of does. They walk on it as it moves and things like that. And the way that they utilize the walkways is just beautiful.
Yeah, the way they use those conveyor belts is so much fun. They use them as like treadmills
Mhm.
at one point.
Yeah. And they're strutting on them in the heels, they're walking on them in other shoes. It's just so clever the way that they do it that it kind of brings a new elevation to the show. And I just think it's a really clever use of staging. And that, to be fair, the whole show is a very clever use of staging. It doesn't change that often. A lot, obviously, most of it is set inside of the factory, but the conveyor belts are just changed to make it runways and make them different levels and have them walking, but also show like the monotony of the shoes moving, and then the kinky boots are moving, and it's a bit more fiery and unique. It's just really clever, and I'm a sucker for a staging, and that one's really nice. I do have one thing I want to talk about because, as we've said, the reason that we're talking about this is because there is a new West End revival coming after its UK tour last year. The only two characters and actors that we know are Matt Cardle, who is playing Charlie, and Johannes Radve, who is playing Lola. I don't know much about Matt Cardle, I'll be honest, apart from the fact that he was on X Factor long, long time ago. what I really want to talk about is Johannes Radve, who is a part of Strictly Come Dancing. I love Strictly Come Dancing. He's my favourite dancer on there. I'm so excited to see how he does this because obviously, as we've said, he's a massive dancer and a very, very skilled dancer. So I'm really hoping there's a little bit more dancing coming into the show because it's something he can do. And I'm also really excited to know how he is singing and acting because it's a kind of star casting at that point. And yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are looking forward to. I know a lot of the promotional pictures is just him in the heels and obviously other clothes, but like, yeah, I'm super excited, and I think he is like one of the main reasons why I want to go and see this because I want to know how his dancing is, if he is dancing more in it, and how good he's gonna be. Yeah, but I feel like we should discuss the cursed venue that it is in. Me and you are famously, if the London Coliseum Theatre has no haters, me and Tyler are dead. Well, I'm dead. I can't speak for you, Tyler. I hate that theatre.
It's just too big,
It's too
in my
big.
opinion.
It's too. How do you think this show's gonna be there? Because I'm worried it's still gonna be too big.
I mean, I think anything's gonna be. I think it's gonna be too big for anything.
Yeah, that's my worry. Because it's so. It's the same. Because this is where Gatsby was for context. It's the same kind of thing of like it's a big musical with very, very bright, very exciting stuff, but it's just a big theatre and it's a small stage, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. Do we want to go into some of the songs?
Yeah, we can talk about some songs.
Let me bring up the old thingy. Do you have any songs you would like to talk about?
We already touched on "Not My Father's Son," so I'm not going to talk about that again. I'd like to talk about "Hold Me in Your Heart," which is my other joint favorite song.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, this is such a powerhouse song. This is the penultimate song in the show, and it's Lola goes to perform a drag show at a elderly home, nursing home, assisted living. Can't remember if it's specified, but along those lines. So they do their drag act there, which is, translated in this song in the context of the musical. And at the end of the song, you find out that their dad is in the home. It's just really heartbreaking. But from a musical standpoint, it's just a really strong, like, it's such a power ballad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We owe it to ourselves to talk about the history of Wrong Guys. I love that song. It's so like it's so nice. It's kind of a nice little take on not being a love song, but also being a love song at the same time.
Yeah, it's really funny, and I like that Lauren as a character gets like one song that she just gets to own in the show because she doesn't really get any other big moments of singing like this.
Yeah, yeah, and she's I mean she's a fantastic singer. In both cast recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah, two of the songs that I think are kind of the iconic songs of this show are "Raise You Up" and "Sex Is in the Heel." They are like the kind of powerhouse songs of the show, and the two that you really think of when you think of Kinky Boots. I love these songs. They're so uplifting. They're so big, and like "Raise You Up" is a fantastic end to this musical because they're all celebrating and just oh, it's just so nice, and it's like I don't know how else to explain it other than it's just such a fun song, and it makes you feel so good. Both of them do. They're just really fun.
Yeah, it just makes you smile.
Yeah.
You can't go and see this show and not just feel happy when you leave.
Mm. And that's I think that's what a lot of people really love about this. And obviously, because the film is so accessible and the pro shot is so accessible, you know,
Hmm.
you could really try before you buy with this one. And I think that's great. We need more shows like that.
Oh, absolutely. That's a whole other discussion, though, that is something we should probably talk about in a future episode, to be honest.
Yeah, we should.
To reiterate what I said earlier, this is such an accessible show because you've got the film, you have two fantastic cast recordings. The West End cast recording is live, if that in any way may sway you to listen to that one. And we've also, you've also got a nice pro shot so you can see the visual accompaniment to what's actually happening on stage.
Yeah.
Which I would recommend because visually it's such a vibrant and colourful show as well.
It is. It is. It's one that you really have to see.
Yeah. If anything, see it for Don's big moment at the end because that's one of my favourite parts of any show.
See it
ever.
for Don.
It's so funny. He has a really good arc. Do you want my headcanon Don for like casting?
I would love it.
To be honest, he's probably done it, but I think I'm pretty sure he's done it. But I think Joel Montague.
I
would be,
knew
like,
you were gonna say that.
Don ever. He'd be so good though.
If you're listening, John Montague, which you definitely aren't, you should definitely try that. That you'd be great for that. Maybe, I mean, as far as I'm aware, he's not in anything upcoming, so maybe we've called it.
Maybe. I think that would be very cool.
That would be very, very cool. Anyway, Kinky Boots, highly recommend you go and see. You'll love it, and it happens to have a very, very good quick change in it, which conveniently is what we're going to be talking about in the next episode. Check out our next episode for quick changes, and in the meantime, wear sexy shoes.
Yeah, make sure they're comfortable though.
Wear comfortable, sexy shoes.
No one wants to wear uncomfortable shoes.